All right, guys, here we're going to talk about the movie The Watcher in the Woods. 1980's The Watcher in the Woods, a Disney movie. Had you seen it before?
Absolutely not.
Had you seen the remake in 2017?
Was that a... Oh, no. Also, absolutely not.
Perfect.
Okay.
I didn't either.
Oh, I'm thinking of Into the Woods. That's a different thing? Is that
That is a different thing.
Okay.
This one, though,
Didn't see that either, though.
I believe was marketed as like Disney's first horror movie.
Okay.
And that's semi-accurate.
It's horrible.
It has some old school charm, being that it's from the 80s. It's got a couple of characters you may know. The one that first jumped out at me is the Ducky character from NCIS is the dad. He's not in it very much, but that's him young as shit. And I'm like, oh, that's that guy?
Yes.
And I'm like, that guy's really short, and he appears tall in this. These people must be really short. And then what's the old lady's name? She's famous as shit. Yes.
I was like, Bette Midler. Nope, not her.
Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was she? Did they make her look older for this? Do you know, or is she just that old?
I do not believe they made her look older. I think she was this old. I know that she originally wanted to play. There's a time travel bit in this, and she wanted to play the younger her. And they're like, you cannot pass for 40. They did the screen test though, and like, you cannot pass for 40.
Damn, because she was like, I don't even know if she was a good actress. She was just famous for being hot or something. So it's so funny to see her like super old and actually be that old.
Yeah. Maybe they made her up a little bit, but who's to say?
It's fine.
And then the main girl of this, she's a Bond girl later on.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
I forget which Bond she's in. It's something. Oh, it's this is Watcher in the Woods, and that one's like For Your Eyes Only. Maybe it's some other eye one. Yeah, I remember. Yeah. But this movie's pretty decent. It's definitely dated. It's a kids movie, so like it's not going to be that scary. No, but the idea of a horror-related Disney movie is intriguing.
Yes, I said it was horrible. It's not horrible, but it is dated. It is old. There are some things that I liked, and the ending is crazy, and I don't want to spoil it, so we'll get into all that later on. However, it's not going to matter because I'm going to tell people probably you don't have to watch this. It's probably fine. I don't know.
I'd say if you're like a big Disney head, this might be one you've missed and should be something you check out.
Oh yeah.
Other than like just sheer curiosity, there's no really epic things in this movie. You could skip it.
It's crazy though.
If you have the opportunity to get the DVD though, there are some behind the scenes on this that are pretty interesting. There's some alternate endings that are like way weirder than the actual ending.
Even weirder than the weird ending that there is. Okay.
So if you've seen this and don't care, falls over to spoilers, and if not, pull out now.
If you need a place to rent content, you better listen. We're Cannibal Video and we eat the competition.
All right, guys, here we are for the spoilers of The Watcher in the Woods. So this movie opens up with this family looking for a new house.
I think this house will be exactly right for you.
That's what she said about all the wrong ones she showed us yesterday.
Yeah. Little hunting on something house thing there, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, one's a writer, one is like a playwright or something like that.
Yeah, this is the usual like they have fake jobs for a movie.
Yeah, just rich, I'm at home kind of jobs.
Coming in, right.
I have a very soft touch late at night.
Or like traveling unexpectedly, yes.
They come across this gigantic, like a mansion-esque fucking house for $1,000 a month.
To their credit, he goes, "What's the catch?" Immediately, he's like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
This
Well,
can't
I don't
be
know
real.
enough about what was happening in the 80s to be like, okay, what would a normal going rate for a mansion be?
Well, from context, we know it's low, I guess, because he's like, "What do you did you mean a week? No, a month. Trust me, it's just fucking haunted."
But even $4,000, a month for this house, it has like 100 rooms. It's like this giant thing. Like this is like the Xavier mansion.
His car was $100. Let's just put it in different.
Was his car $100?
I'm done.
I like that car. It had an interesting thing where it's trunk. When the trunk goes up, they like go like cheat because it didn't have like gaskets or whatever. Then it wasn't the hydraulic drops, so it was a screw pull, and I was like, that's cool. Older cars, while like ugly, had a lot of interesting character, like how like the moldings went and things. I don't even know what the fuck that was. They're in like Ireland or England. I don't know where they are.
Oh yeah, no, fuck yeah. There's accents and it feels weird.
Yeah, the dad has an accent.
So do I. But if I don't, 8 singers, 10 dancers, and a bunch of mad musicians are all going to end up back on unemployment.
Like they moved to a place and it seemed like everyone there has an accent or something.
But clearly they were raised in America or just by their mom because they have no accent.
Boy, are you ever jumpy. Brat!
But her like boyfriend has a super accent. He's great.
Yeah, well, he's like a farm boy down the road.
Want to talk about it?
Yes.
I like the motocross shots with the boyfriend because those had some interesting angles that I feel like I didn't see a lot of, like in the 80s. Like, you know, where it's attached to the back fender of the, you know, of the bike, and and things are moving, they're doing stuff.
That was cool because that felt like a scene from a movie that was about that almost. I don't know if I'm speaking out of whatever, but there's like a truck that crashes at one point, and all these scenes. I'm like, why are we doing all this for this movie? This is crazy. And that was the old school like way of making a movie where you have all these sets and things.
That truck crash was like literally for nothing.
Yes.
It didn't have to be there. That was just money. That risked that guy's life for no reason.
But they crashed a truck. It's like, and I know it wasn't CG.
They exploded a motorcycle at one point.
Yeah, that was crazy. So like, I actually liked. That's one of the scenes that I liked when she was on that rock, and then the you know, her sister's like, come over here, can you hurry? And then because I'm picturing like a lame Disney horror movie, the bike kind of warbles over and like seems to drive through the bike, you know, the rock, and we go like, oh,
they practical effect explode.
This is like sproing, and it goes wow, and it's like flames, and I'm like, holy crap.
I pictured the thing where the guy like gets knocked off this way, but the bike just totally goes straight at him, ghost rides right at her.
Yes.
Yeah, that was interesting. So you said the sister calls her over. So the sister has this thing where she's constantly getting like possessed or taken over by some entity.
Right.
Merrick.
That is then like delivering exposition.
As before, when darkness comes at noon. Eclipse.
And that is interesting. It's a little weird. Across the board, the movie does a lot of things where I'm like, wait a minute. By the time we got to the end, that didn't necessarily make sense. Why'd that happen?
No.
Like there's lights in the woods. There's glass breaking in a triangle.
Did you hurt yourself?
You're like, oh, a triangle will be some part of the key. Oh, what is this? So the circles and this. And like a lot of it, though, is like this on-the-nose bullshit where you're like, okay, there's a sun and like a circle. And you're like, an eclipse. Obviously an eclipse.
Yeah,
she says an eclipse at one point.
She says interlocking circles. And then, yes, they've already said the eclipse.
Overlapping circles. What does it mean?
And then it becomes, I liked the moment when the sister's saying innocent things and the other sister's like, that's it, and starts to like figure it out. Something about the way it's filmed or the music. I was like, that's cute. I like that.
Help me look, Jan. It's nearly too late. Nearly too late. Oh, here it is.
It had some things. I hated like that she names the dog like Narek, like Karen backwards. And I'm like, well, that's obviously shit. She didn't write it like the wrong way. She wrote it backwards so that it would be visible the other way.
Now what's that?
The name of the puppy. Narek.
When she wrote it, I was like, why is she writing Karen backwards? Who's Karen? And then it's like, Narek, what does that mean? And then they play up this crazy scene where it like zooms and they're like, oh, this is crazy. Oh my God, it's Karen. I'm like, it's 5 letters. It's not like
I never saw her write that way. Like, as if it was a weird script. She's literally just writing actual letters like, the wrong direction.
But like huge and like obviously Karen. Like I'm not like an expert dyslexic, whatever, autistic person.
It was very obvious.
But it wasn't like Red Rum and it wasn't like anything else. And she says, you know, what you just said, like, I never saw her write like that. Like, oh, it's like Cyrillic.
Well, I heard somebody say it.
I've never seen you write like that before.
It's hieroglyphics. What does it mean? Oh, it means
maybe as she wrote the full name out, it could have been hidden and like lost in the sauce. It would have been like, what is that? And then maybe she would have noticed it.
Things, yes.
But they have a thing for names in this movie. During a part where they're telling the story about who is there, like that guy who lives in like the burned out shack or whatever.
I forget his name. Yeah.
He's telling the story and he's like, John Simmons and Tom Russell and Jane blah blah.
Mary Pierce.
We had blindfolded Karen. That was what John Keller had told us to do.
Like. Later in the movie, that girl like Rayman, she's like Tom Pierce and was it Agatha Christie, like whatever the fuck the names were, but she just railed off like the actual names.
I'm going to the chapel with John Keller, Tom Colley, and Mary Fleming.
Full names of people. That's my mother's maiden name.
People used to remember things before the internet and everything, so I believe it.
You had no choice. I had a professor who used to tell a story about memory, and he's like, I met a girl on the train. I said her number over and over again until I got home, because there's no way. I didn't have a pen. There was no way to remember things. He's like, and then I called her when I got home.
And she said, "Who is this?
Who the hell is this?" This movie, though, it's a bit slow, but it's old. So, like, they do that. But also, by being old, it also is an artificial character boost. Where you're like, oh, I like these people and this bizarre hairdo and the way they talk. Like, things like that.
How charming.
Yeah.
No, I will say about its age, like, the sound was a little weird, but not as much. I think it depended on... I have a common complaint about, this is old, the sound design is weird. It sounds like it's in my head, I hate it. But
things are different.
You know, different companies make them, so they, you know, that's not always consistent. I would say the visuals, like the beginning title credit cards are like wobbling so much. I'm like, oh my god, because they have to like scan them onto the film or some shit. But,
well, and it might have been a bad transfer too, which could have added to that.
Yeah, it was like strangely wobbly, and I don't know if I got used to it or if if it gets less wobbly as it goes. But I remember like
the credits were long.
I was like,
too.
I was like, I can't watch this. It's too wobbly. What's happening?
Yeah.
That's enough. I've better things to do than to listen to hysterical fantasies.
Yeah. This is interesting. Like the main character, like girl, we said was in like the James Bond stuff. The younger sister, I didn't see her in too much, but her sister is the girl from Escape to Witch Mountain.
Okay, she's credited on one of the Halloween movies, but I don't know who she is in it. But yeah.
Yeah, they both look really good because like on the IMDb pictures, it's more modern pictures of them. It's not like when they were stars. Some I'm like, oh, they've kept up. They look like they don't look like they're in their, because what would they have to be?
They look like people.
They have to be like 51, 60 something for the two of them.
Oh wow.
And they looked like they were in like their late 40s maybe. So that's impressive. Holding up.
Speaking of holding up, we mentioned a little bit about Bette Davis, who,
yes,
and I'm not going to say she's unrecognizable.
It's no bother. Come on. I was just about to have some tea and cakes.
I made a joke that she's like the old lady from Poltergeist or something. But
She is a living presence in their spiritual earthbound plane.
But she's got that vibe. She's kind of hunched. She's kind of old. I was like, yikes, or something.
She like gets weirder throughout the movie, I want to say, because like in her like last scene in the movie, her hair's combed different and weird.
Yes, I've waited and hoped.
And I was like, what is this? Was this a reshoot? What's happening here?
She just escaped from Shutter Island or something. Yes.
I think this movie was actually filled with a bunch of reshoots.
Okay.
I read something like this was originally to be a made-for-TV movie, and then it got like, they're like, no, you got the green light. You're going to go theatrical, kids.
Crank it up.
And then they did some other bullshit. The effects for this movie were like $1 million.
Are you sure you didn't say $1,000 a week?
I'd show off.
Then, so like that's a lot of money. When the effects are not that crazy for what's actually in the movie.
No, true, but I like them.
Like, with a weird blue shimmery light stuff akin to like oh, that'd be like the same style as Ghostbusters would do.
No,
Is this person worthy?
Lighting.
I like the weird glowing drawing on the frame of like the old effects that they used to be. There's a mirror thing.
Yes.
She goes to pick something up, and I'm like, something's going to be in the mirror. You have a mirror.
Yeah.
But it's like a weird subversion, and maybe this happens very frequently, but I don't recall it a lot, where it's not a jump scare at first. It's just that she can't see herself in the mirror.
That I thought was
and I was
fantastic.
like, that's cool. I'm like, that's not what I expected. And then it goes into a jump scare later. Because it like cracks and then she sees the other girl in there.
And
like,
for a
shit.
horror movie, there's not a lot in terms of like actually scary things or jumps. There's one part where like they're in like a haunted house type thing, and you get like a screaming ghost face. Or
Is it the ghost of Karen I've seen?
or witch face or something. The sister jumps up at one point wearing a witch face.
I'm sorry, that's my favorite transition, where they're talking, and then it cuts to like the carnival, and does a thing. Yeah, I like that a lot.
Is it the ghost of Karen I've seen?
No, there's like tension, and even like the other sister babbling in her sleep, and then her coming over and saying like, "Hey, you were having a nightmare." And she's like, "No, I could hear it too. Like, what do you mean?" And she's like, "Oh, fuck."
I wasn't talking. You were.
No, I wasn't.
Like it's just like a little weird.
There's some awkward
We're
stuff.
so jaded and stuff that's not tension anymore.
There was a part
right?
when she first sees her talking, and like the room's weird, and I haven't seen it a lot, especially at night. And she has a stuffed elephant.
Bust open door.
Ellie? Ellie, wake up. It's okay.
At the foot of her bed, and I thought it was like a hunched over, like old person. I was like, oh, what's that?
Yeah,
but it's not.
Because did you know anything going in? I
didn't know anything about this movie.
So like in the beginning, Bette Davis is given like fuck eyes to like Jan.
Yeah.
And she's the one I need. I'm like, okay, she's a witch. She's she needs to like steal her youth or like transfer into her body or something. There's something crazy gonna happen or whatever.
Like eyes to the woods and says like, is this the one you want?
She's going to stay here. Is that what you wanted?
Yes.
Like, so you're like, okay, there's something in this deal, and that
yes.
like as you watch them, you're like, what the fuck did that?
No. Like it keeps building where she says that, but at first I was like, oh, she's an evil. So yeah, when like you see shadows or weird things, you're like, oh, it's Bette Davis. She's here to like suck your soul out in the middle of the night.
Because they're Evil Dead getting watched through the woods during that opening part.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, what is this? Okay, it's something there, I guess.
Which it must have been no, it's the entity, right?
It's the entity.
I'm saying it can't be the blindfolded chick she can't see. No, it's the entity. That's in the thing.
No, so I thought there's a part where she sees that blue circle in the water and then falls in, and our Bette Davis is like, oh no,
she's like doing laundry.
It looks like she's trying to drown her, but she's really trying to like push her down underneath these roots to get out.
Get out of my way!
I'm like, okay. I thought she was trying to hold her down until she died, because
she could be reborn.
Well, I you know that her daughter went missing, and I'm like, her daughter like fell in there and died, and somebody else came out with like rode her body, and she needs a new vessel to come into, or it's like some shit like that, or maybe the water is a portal at to hold her down until she like when she passes out she'll wake up there or something like that. But no, it doesn't happen.
I was thinking the same stuff again though. Kind of like the mirror, it like flips it around.
Yeah.
Where she's like waking up like, oh god, it's like oh, and then like sister has to be like, no, she
saved you.
She was just unwedging you from the branches.
Yeah.
Where she somehow falls. Because that's who I was picturing something like Legend where she can't get out of the water. But she's just like, and I'm like, how'd she get under those branches? What's happening? What's going on?
No, it was a little convenient. Yes. But it's a Disney kids movie.
Well, but you don't know at that point, is that part of the magic of the forest? Like what is happening? I don't know. And then it turns out, yes, later, like, I don't know.
So like how this actually ends is very weird though. Like it goes this whole thing where she's trying to find this lady's daughter. It goes missing through some weird spiritual circle of.
Yeah, no. This is like a detective movie now. It's like a young we're gonna go solve the mystery, and I'm like, why do you think there's a mystery?
If Karen was murdered, that would explain her haunting the woods, wouldn't it?
She's like, we need to know what happened that night. I'm like, why? Why do you have any reason?
How would you know?
She has no reason to believe there's anything suspicious with what happened that night.
Well, and then everything she does learn makes you think these kids are murderers. So like, she's dead. We know. And then like even when they're alone talking about it, like that thing we did to her.
There was thunder and lightning that other night too. The night we...
Now I've told you never to talk about that night.
You're like, okay, what?
Yes.
Like you think you're a murderer or what?
So that's why hearing about this, this was one of Disney's forays into horror. I'm like, okay, well, every now and then Bambi's mom gets shot. Like maybe this is some weird thing where there was an accident, and then when they unveil part of like the ritual where it's like, don't move no matter what we say, I'm like, oh, she just fucking dies in this fire.
You must not move at all. We shall hold hands around you, and you must not break our circle.
And they just feel guilty or something.
Would have been
like
better.
That. Well, so then they throw in like the curveball, like we're talking about.
It goes super curved here. Yeah. So like they do this ritual, and it made her disappear. The idea that they did this during the solar eclipse and weren't like, we should look at the solar eclipse, like, is a little strange to begin with.
Me and Mary made our way to the secret meeting place, the old chapel.
But they do this in this perfect alignment of bullshit, and with them making a circle and something, it allowed some entity to switch places with her.
Transferred by mistake. An error. We exchanged places.
Well, she stands there for a while, but then like the one guy's about to get out and looks back. A bell falls.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh no, she's gonna die. But he's like, she was already gone.
When the bell come down, she was gone already.
Are you sure?
I told him what I seen.
and the bell fell, right? Meaning that like it wasn't just the circle because they had broken the circle.
Sure.
So now it's some.
And even later on when they're trying to recreate this thing, okay, but this time we won't break. They break almost immediately, and
This is our own chance! Don't break the circle!
Mary!
she takes off the blindfold like almost immediately.
Listen. Ready to return. I've been trapped on your planet.
They didn't follow any of this stuff that could happen only once every like 40 years at all.
Well, and like the whole point is to, so like the Watcher in the Woods is this entity that has swapped places with young Karen.
Exchange places again.
Almost time.
Who is now trapped in like the mirror shadow universe or something.
Karen's still in my dimension. Trapped and suspended.
It doesn't make any sense.
Whatever. So, but the circle has Jan in it. So I was like, wait, you can't swap back the way you're talking about. The entity needs to go in there and then swap back for Karen. But Jan's in there too.
Yeah.
And she's like, this is unpleasant. And I'm like, what's happening?
It doesn't make sense because they act as though, and we see the entity riding her sister. So you're like, oh, it has to ride Jan, and there's some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 rules where only the same weight can transfer.
That's it. Of course. It's equal mass displacement. For every one of us that goes back, someone from the past will come here.
It will only work if the magic travelers each have the same weight.
And that would make sense, but they don't do that. And that would be pretty good because then a moment later, like they both come back. Now, I'm going to talk a moment here about the deleted scenes. There are 2 alternate endings for this movie, and both of them...
Which I do not know about, just to be clear.
I'm here to fill you in.
All you.
So in the movie version we saw, which is I guess the actual ending, it is the sister comes in and she's possessed and she's talking and does all this thing, and then like
the younger
it
sister,
goes, and then,
she has like an overdubbed voice.
Yes.
She's like,
must return home. Time is running out. Hurry.
I was trapped here in your universe. It becomes sci-fi instead of ghostly.
And then
right?
the 2 girls pop back out and okay, Bob's your uncle, we're done. In the first alternate ending, which is shorter, it is not the sister. It is this grotesque alien monster thing that looks pretty awesome. It has like big wings that extend out and do shit. And you're like, oh,
and it says, "I'm the Watcher in the Woods."
But it's a physical thing. It's not embodied with this thing. And it like and grabs the girl, and then they teleport away.
Which girl?
Jan.
Jan.
And they teleport away, and then the 2 girls pop back.
Which 2 girls?
The blindfolded girl that was missing, and Jan, yeah.
Okay. Part of me was like, oh, no, Jan's gonna like sacrifice herself to bring back the other girl.
Also would have been good.
Or the other girl's gonna like be in her body or some weird thing like that. Okay, but okay.
So then the second ending is just a longer version of that, where that all happens again. It's the alien monster thing, but you see the other side of where they go.
You see the upside down?
And it is a fantastic alien spaceship looking thing. And there's some area that looks just like where Zordon was inside of, and that's where the girl was blindfolded in. She's like, and Jan like walks into that, like grabs her hand, and then they both just teleport out, and then they come back. And you're like, okay, none of this made sense. That looked cool though. I don't know why.
They should have had that in there.
I feel like they probably got rid of that because it was like scary, maybe like the monster scared people.
Oh, the monster probably is. Yeah.
And Disney might not have been like, we don't want to go that hard in the paint. You know, like we a little bit of horror. It was very cool looking though.
That's interesting.
None of it ever made any sense though, because we don't ever really account for why you need the circle, why you need the girl to be in the place of this thing, why you couldn't have just popped there and popped back. What enabled you to get pulled out? Like they needed a circle and a chant and the stars do a line, but you're just like on your spaceship and you're like, oh God! and you get sucked here. And luckily you're like immortal or whatever, because you're just here on this planet that might not have the thing you need to breathe. It's 40 years later.
And did Karen age? Was I mistaken?
No, she popped out the same age.
I was like, I don't.
She was in stasis, they say.
Yeah, I was gonna say like, well, but
she was frozen in time.
Trapped and suspended. Must reverse the process.
They say that, so I thought she wasn't gonna age, but then the way she looked, I was like, I think she did age.
She looked like she was miscast.
Yes.
Because she looked like she was a 30-year-old.
She didn't look like the age of the kids from the flashback, right?
No.
That's okay. I was gonna say like, weird. Yeah.
Yeah, and I wondered too, because in certain angles, because she had the blindfold on, you can only really judge if that's, because I was expecting honestly to be Jane, because like she looks just like her is something the guy says. Play her? I was like, oh, she'll just play that same part. That'll just make sense. And I'm like looking at her nose, like is that the same nose? Because like her face is covered and the chins are just like a girl's chin. There was nothing really spectacular about them.
And it's a big blindfold. I think for that
reason.
It
was a huge blindfold. Yeah.
You should speculate. Oh, what's happening?
Yeah, and the blonde hair was it's blonde hair or whatever.
Well, she's like black and
she's
white in
ghosted,
the mirrors.
So
yeah. Except in the fun house, which was crazy.
The fun house was interesting.
How does she get there?
I don't know.
How does she communicate through the mirrors?
A lot of that doesn't make sense. How does anything happen? Because again, they don't touch base on anything. There's a lot of powers and bullshit displayed that don't actually make sense for what happens. Don't come full circle. Don't make sense. But whatever.
Well, and the ending, like, there's no ending.
No, it's just over.
She just says, "You're back," and then it's over.
Yeah,
she like starts walking towards her.
You wouldn't even know that that's her mom, like because we saw the mom and we know what she turned into 40 years later. They're not remotely the same.
Right.
That's such a horrific thing though. Like just that on its head. Like you just lost 40 years of your life. Like yes, you are the same age, but everyone you know is essentially gone. You're not going to be hanging out with this like 48-year-old man. Like we were friends. We used to play Ring Around the Rosie. Like you have a whole new life that you don't know anymore. Your mom's seemingly in like disrepair and can't have money because she has to rent out the actual house. You live in like the slave quarters.
She has no family left and she needs the income. But she is quite sentimental about the house.
Damn, you painted a very vivid picture there. Yeah. No. Like I would have liked a like hint of like we're all friends now again or whatever. Because wait, the parents aren't there, right? The parents went out of town, so like it's just the three adults who are the kids.
Her mom shows up. She's like, "Where's Jane?
Where's Jane?
She went away.
What are you talking about?"
Ah, okay, good. So
yeah, the dad is out of town. He's like doing playwright shit or whatever.
Yeah, I was gonna say like, cause like I don't even know, cause like I always like when there's a little hint, like in Stranger Things, where it's like, oh, we're gonna adopt this one.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can stay. There's plenty of room in the house. Like
there's certainly plenty of room in the house.
You do like a little nice, little cute little thing where it's like, I'm glad this weirdness is over. Now we can hang out.
What would that have been? In the 30s when she went missing?
A long time ago.
What a world of difference. Oh, so wait, how long was she gone for? Well, I just made up 40 years. I don't know if they actually ever say
when you said it, I was like, that's it.
40 made sense, but like
might have been 30. I think they say it because it's like the anniversary of some eclipse or something.
Whatever happened 30 years ago when Karen disappeared was during an eclipse. The same thing's happening now.
How often do eclipses happen? I don't know. I feel like those are one of those things where you're like, once in my lifetime.
Yeah, it's not an even number of years though, and
I want to say it could even be
50
50 years. It might even been 50 years later.
I don't know.
Or in that ballpark, because the mom aged dramatically. Like you wouldn't bat an eye at her being like 80 years old.
God be with you, child.
I would go more off of the three kids than Bay Davis.
But if you were to say the kids were in their mid-50s, I would be like, yeah, that's possible too.
Yeah.
Regardless, she lost a hell of a lot of life and came into a totally different world.
I think it's great. I would love to skip forward 40, 70 years, whatever. Be awesome.
I don't know. Well, I guess in her particular situation where it's like, I'm the heir to that mansion. Like, she's at least caked up. Like, potentially if I jumped 50 years in the future, I got nothing and nothing.
I don't have that chip in my head that lets me work for a living.
You Chip. What are you doing?
Quitting.
Why?
Because I've always wanted to.
I like older movies for the reason that you had like things happen that just like don't seem to play out anymore. Like at one point, a crow like hits her in the face. A cat like hits her in the face. Like I'm like, yeah, this is when we just like throw animals and do shit.
Okay. I'm like,
there's like a crow drowning in like a casket. It like flies out and hits her in the face. And I'm like, how many takes did that take? Like you can't. I feel like crows and hitting faces is something hard.
One take wonder. No, they actually were like, we should do that again because it hit her face. Someone was like, no, it's gold.
Oh, it's perfect.
Leave it like that.
What just happened? I didn't want to hurt Ellie. I love her.
Mom?
I wanted to hit it right in the face.
And then it seemed like that guy who lives in that like broken down hovel thing,
Yeah.
like, did he train that crow? Like he had a crow.
Well, because he nurses animals
he had a
like
cat.
yeah.
Nasty poacher hurt its paw. But old Tom will make it right.
So like there's a whole misdirect with him being like a creep and stuff, and then of course he's like the most gentle man in the world and he nurses animals back to health and stuff.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if he was all there or not.
It won't hurt you none. They know when you try to help.
No, he's not
like,
all there.
Because his younger character, him, like didn't seem like he seemed like he was like the go-getter type. Because he's
been
leading.
He's been destroyed.
Like you think he like mentally lost his
He
faculties?
thinks he killed
from
that
losing
girl.
that
He became an alcoholic and started nursing animals back to health.
Maybe.
She's in the chapel, she was.
You're drunk.
No, then I wasn't. She was there, I tell you.
Because he lives like the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
You ain't no ghost.
Like he lives in this thing where I'm like this is what like somebody would be like, I got good digs in like Hercules time. This guy is in like the 80s, like half his building is gone. Like a war-torn building in Bosnia where you can see the whole inside. That's like what his house is.
No, exactly. Each of the three dealt with it in like different ways or something.
Yeah.
The chick, became a mom and like buried it and was like, I'm not gonna talk about this ever again.
And she never went to the woods again, even though the woods had actually nothing to do with anything. So like,
well, the thing's in the woods where you go to the thing.
Agreed. Well, I guess the church is in the woods,
but
the way she said it, or the way he said it about his mother. Oh, and she won't even go in the woods.
There's something about those woods that's always bothered you though, Mum. You never go near them. Not even to take the shortcut to the village.
She won't go to this path and whatever.
She won't even take the
you
shortcuts.
think that's because they're going to explain something about the Watcher in the woods and some bullshit. And, oh, we saw glowing orbs or whatever. It was all this lightning struck.
Or like Karen's gone and she turned into a monster or something. Something.
Her ghost haunts the whatever. It's our fault.
But yeah, the other dude becomes like an angry old bitter fuck and isolates himself.
He's rich though.
In what I thought was a church, but that's just his house, right?
Yeah, he just has a mansion.
Sure. And then the third guy, is like a broken dude, or whatever.
Yeah.
So in a way, they all lost 40 years.
Didn't you see the signs? This is private property.
Like, just to bring back up that bridge thing, so like the truck does drive off the ramp, it goes into the water. The guy's potentially dead, and they just like go right past him and leave him there.
Sorry, mister.
What the fuck?
That's when the horses get spooked, right?
The horse is spooked, yeah.
And you think
she gets thrown from the horse, she's totally fine.
Wait, but then once you know what it is, did they somehow make the horse go there?
Yeah, something happened. There was some, like that thing she saw outside the window. And like
Well,
it
yeah,
spooked the
but
horse, and that same, a bright light crashed the car. So like, the car, I think, was meant to believe like, oh, I crashed the car so it wouldn't hurt you. I'm here to save you. I'm the entity that's been good. I make your sister say things. I do things, but I can also do cosmic shit because I'm a fucking alien or whatever. But a lot of it's just like, I'm sorry, what?
Well, because the horse gets spooked, and like the new boyfriend says, like, that horse could have gone anywhere. Don't be ridiculous.
He could have bolted in any direction.
He bolted because he was spooked. Something in the woods spooked him.
And I'm like,
it did take you right to the church.
Well, but I'm like, so like that's for the audience to be like, but it didn't. It guided you here because the Watcher in the woods told the horse to come here, but it didn't because it just spooked him, right? Does it have that power?
I assume it spooked him and made him go there, but again, that's
spooking
just
them a few times to get them to herd them into the place.
It's dumb, but something.
As long as we admit that it's dumb.
Oh, and a lot of it's dumb.
Pretty good riding, Ellie. Hey, why don't you ride ahead and make sure the path's clear of Indians?
It gets me out of the way so you two can be alone, doesn't it?
That same bridge, I think later, they're trying to leave.
And it collapses.
The Watcher or Karen or someone destroys the bridge, like disables the car on the bridge and then destroys the bridge.
I think the bridge was gonna collapse, anyway.
Oh my God.
And the thing that the entity did was short the car for a second so they'd have to stop for a moment. And then she goes, it doesn't want us to go over the bridge, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
If we go back, they'll start again.
Jan, stop it. Just stop it.
And then lightning strikes, and we get a thing from the boyfriend's mom earlier. Oh, that rickety bridge, I wouldn't cross that. Like, something like that.
Not even to take the shortcut to the village.
Cross that rickety old bridge? I should say not.
Yes.
So, like, set it up. But
now
it did break from lightning or whatever. It didn't break from, like, its own life, right?
Well,
or did I add lightning?
I think lightning strikes it, but there's also the blue or some sort of something to indicate that there's paranormal things happening.
Give me those keys!
I can't!
But that doesn't make sense with your brilliant theory, because it seems like it was only trying to help them. They could have made it across, I feel like.
Oh, sure.
And the
they do lose the car though.
I know.
You just lost the car.
Luckily, the car's only $100, as previously stated. No, but she says like, no, the car will work. You know, if we go back or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, you're good. Put it in reverse.
Yeah.
Yes.
This movie is an interesting ride. I won't say that it's great, but I do think it's worth watching.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like I like older movies like this because they just have a different vibe. Like they hit different. Like
they do in fact hit
going.
No, I mean, I always feel enriched for having watched a movie, almost any movie, and I'll be very clear if I'm like, fuck this movie. And I don't feel like that now, but I'm also like, I'm not sure if this is something people...
I would say, honestly, if you're going to see it, it's definitely see this on DVD to get that behind that deleted scene, alternate ending here, because that creature has such an interesting look to it, and I can't imagine why you wouldn't go with that, because that's where your money is.
Dad, get away!
The sister was creepy when she comes forward into the thing, but...
Where is Karen? Karen was in the way.
Damn, that monster.
No, yeah, that's cool. If you're interested, if you're intrigued by this, go down the rabbit hole to the Watcher in the Woods.
Alright guys, thanks for watching. Let us know in the comments what you thought about it. Don't die in a fire, and we'll see you next time.
If you want to support the show, head over to cannibalvideo.com, pick up some merch.
And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button.
That's alright.
Yeah, that's something.
Whatever.
Fuck these motherfuckers.
A bargain like that wouldn't stay on the market a minute.
Maybe there's a ghost.
Cannibal Video has everything you need. A wide array of VHS and DVDs. We ate the competition, now it's only us. Our expert staff opinions you can really trust.